Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, just stopping by, hello, my name is Jennifer and I'd love it if you stuck around and subscribed. We are doing a giveaway at 400 subscribers and we are freaking close to it, so make sure you subscribe. Today I wanted to do a video that actually got requested last week, and I don't ever really get to request this fast, but I think I mentioned it in one of my a few videos ago that I am pretty much a makeup beauty kind of channel, but I throw in some family stuff, home stuff, and all of that, just my life. But for the most part, I stick to beauty videos, and after a while, there's only so many warm tone eye looks you can do. There's only so many, videos that you can think of before you're just doing the same thing over and over. And I feel like I've been doing the same thing over and over here lately, and I wanted to get out of that rut. And my homegirl, Amanda Hanks, I'll put her comment around the screen or I'll flash away to it. She actually wanted to see, I don't know if this is exactly what she was asking for, but she wanted to know if I could keep one thing out of every makeup category, or what my absolute favorites were. And in my head, that immediately went to a full face of my Holy Grail makeup, which is what this video is, and you already know that. So thank you, Amanda, for requesting that, and I am so happy I got a chance to do it. And with that being said, if you guys ever want to see anything on my channel, feel free to leave it in a comment down below, or if you follow me on Instagram, that's always linked down below, you can just DM me and let me know some stuff you would like to see. I'm always down to try stuff out. So this is a full face of my Holy Grail ultimate favorites, things I go back to over and over and over again. Some of these items I've used for years, and some of them I've only used for a few months, but I can tell you that I use them every time I wear makeup. So with all that being said, I'm gonna stop rambling and let's go on and get into the video, guys. Alright, so the first thing I do when I go to start my makeup is moisturize my face and my lips. I'm not gonna put my facial moisturizer in it because that just seems weird. But on my lips, I always just use regular Vaseline. I don't know why. That's just what I've been liking to use for the past few months. So for primers, I have two that I love very, very much. My all-time favorite, everyday primer, is the Smashbox Reduce Redness, primer. This will help fill in your pores a little bit. It is a silicone primer, but it has that green tint to kind of combat any redness you might have, because I have lots of redness on my face. The other primer I tend to use a lot is the NYX Pore Filler. This is an odd kind of thing. It comes out and it's like a nude shade. It's not clear or white, which is what I'm used to if it's not green. And I like to just press this in right here on my cheeks, a little bit on my forehead, and right around my mouth. If you press in your pore filler, it is more likely to help fill in your pores. So for foundations, if you've watched my channel for a while, you know that I freaking love drugstore makeup. It is my favorite thing. I don't have an Ulta or a Sephora near me to go peruse all the time. So for the most part, most of my collection is drugstore makeup, and that extends to my favorite foundation. I have used this foundation since it launched. This is the Wet n Wild Original Photo Focus Foundation. I do have the dewy one and I don't like it as much, and I'm actually almost out of this one, so I need to repurchase it. And if you don't like the Wet n Wild, another one of my favorite foundations I have ever found is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. Mine is in the shade 400 Pearl, and my Wet n Wild is in Porcelain. For today, I'm gonna use my Wet n Wild just because I kind of just want to get done with this bottle. I don't think I've ever gone through a full bottle. This does have that stupid spatula on it, and I am a big fan of just smearing it onto my sponge. The sponge that I've been using the most here lately is the e.l.f. Total Face Sponge, but don't look at my flabby arm. I also really love the Wet n Wild Beauty Sponge. They're pretty comparable in price, so either one of those are my faves. And I love this foundation. I have hair color on my hairline. We don't have to talk about it. This foundation is just really, I don't know how to explain it. It has really good coverage because I know it seems like everyone's in this weird moment where we feel like we have to have full coverage all of the time, but I have always liked full coverage. I have acne, I have scarring, I have redness, and on top of that, I'm liquid paper white, so anything that might show up minutely on darker people's skin, like somebody with a darker complexion than me, shows up. It feels like it shows up like 10 times worse on my skin just because it is so light, you know? Like a zit shows up way brighter on my skin, it feels like, because there's nothing behind it to kind of camouflage it. So for concealers, I have two as well. I just can't pick between the two of them. Probably my all-time favorite is from ColourPop. It's the No Filter Matte Concealer. I use Fair 00 if I want a super extra highlighted look. I will mix this in with my normal concealer, and then I always prime my eyes with it when I do my eyes first. But day to day, I use Fair 02, which is just slightly lighter or slightly darker. The Fair 00 is just a stark white concealer. If for some reason you can't get ColourPop around you, because I know Ulta was selling this and now it's not online, the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer is also a super good option. Plus, I'm almost out of this. I'm trying really hard to get through a lot of my makeup that I've been using a lot. Just like trying to power through it. Yeah, so this is pretty much dried up. Let me stick it down on my empties. And I'm gonna go in with the L'Oreal Full Wear. You don't have to use a ton of the Full Wear. I do have the lightest shade, which is Eggshell 325. I do wish they had a shade a little bit lighter than this, but it's okay. And every few months or so, I go through a phase where I want to kind of highlight my face a little bit more. I wish this was a little lighter though, because it's pretty much the color of my skin. So I'm actually going to layer in a little bit of Fair 00 to lighten the spots I'm trying to highlight a little bit better. Beautiful. Blend it all out, y'all. So I don't do this every day, but most of the time when I am filming a beauty video, I do throw this in because I think it makes my contour look a little bit better on camera. This is from Wet n Wild. Like I said, I don't always cream contour, but this is just their cream contour stick in Call Me Maple. And I feel like I don't use a ton of this. I pretty much just hit under my cheeks. I always hit under the center of my bottom lip, and just a little bit on the sides of my nose, and then obviously my temples and my forehead. I don't know why, it makes me feel pretty. So we're just gonna blend this out as well. I've never been a fan of blending out cream contour with a beauty sponge. I don't know why, it just seems wrong. So I've never tried that. I'm gonna set my face. I always use the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Translucent. This is a ridiculously huge tub of powder. I remember when I bought my first one, I was like, I'll never go through that, and I had it for like almost a full year before I went through the whole thing. So I'm just gonna take my sponge and pounce out any creases that might have formed under my eyes, and then we're gonna set everything down. I do not bake. I have dry skin, like pretty freaking dry skin all on my own. So I never really bake. I used to really, I don't know why, I was obsessed and I needed to bake. Like, I thought I looked horrible if I didn't bake. Like, I thought my makeup wasn't up to par with where I wanted it if I didn't bake. And now I realize that if you have dry skin, if you let excess powder set on your skin that long, Even if it's just a few seconds, it's really gonna accentuate every freaking line you have and make your skin look even drier. The only other spot I make sure to pounce out any creases that might have happened is on my forehead, because I have like a freaking divot in my forehead right there. It's beautiful. And I'm constantly raising my eyebrows. I don't know why, I always have. So I gotta make sure that bad boy is like set without a crease in it. And then I just take a little bit more of my powder and I set all around my face. I don't use an obscene amount of powder all over my face, really just on my forehead and under my eyes. And the rest of my face just gets like a little dusting, just enough to where my face isn't tacky if I feel it. For contour and bronzing, I have used both of these products for a minute now. When I'm trying to be like extra fancy, I will use them one at a time, but when I'm in a rush, which is most of the time, I just mix them together. But today, for the sake of the video, we're gonna go slow. So this is the Wet n Wild Color Icon Bronzer in Sunset Striptease. Mine is broken. It's been through it, okay? We're just gonna take a bigger fluffy brush that is still kind of flattened out on one side and narrow. This bronzer does have a little bit of shimmer in it, but it's not like visible hunks of glitter, which is why I like it. I'm very pasty. I have to bronze my skin or I look like a ghost. So I pretty much just hit my forehead and my cheeks with this. I might go over my nose ever so slightly, but for the most part, this is just to add a little bit of color back onto my face and bring back a little dimension. And I do also hit my chin a little bit. So now I go in with a more classic contouring brush. This is just by Wet n Wild, and I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline City Bronzer in the shade 100. And you do not need a lot of this. This is pretty much just if you're pale. This is an excellent cool tone matte contour shade. And I'm just going to put this in the most hollow spots on my cheeks, a little bit on my temples and on my forehead. And you can already see that it's not even blended out yet, but it's making a big difference in my bone structure. I'm just gonna slightly go over the contour of my nose, and then with the very tip of this brush, just a little bit under my lip, just to accentuate it. As of lately, I don't have a favorite highlighter that is an actual face highlighter. I've been using an eyeshadow for the past few months as my face highlight and my eye highlight. But for the sake of the video, if I had to pick a favorite highlighter, this is from Wet n Wild. This is their loose highlighter in the shade I'm So Lit. You get an obscene amount of highlight in it, and I have never actually dipped down into the pot. I always just use what's on the lid, and you can see I've not used a ton of it, but I use this all the time. I just haven't used a lot because it is a very blinding, beaming highlight. But in reality, what I've been using the most to highlight with is out of the Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson Conspiracy palette. And I really don't use this palette as much as I anticipated using it. I think it's mainly because it's so freaking bulky. This is a big ass palette. But the shade Ranch. If you are pale and you don't like gold tones, gold highlights, I'm much more of a cool tone kind of lady when it comes to pretty much everything but eye makeup. I like cool tone. I don't like gold highlighter. I don't like the peach or anything like that. I like cool tone, silvery white highlights. The shade Ranch in this palette, hold on. It is just like, it is the perfect highlight shade for me, at least. I just like having something that is obviously, that you can obviously see and tell I have a highlight on, but not to the point where I look ridiculous. And you can, and I very frequently do, build this up to where it's way hardcore. Or you can just take a little bit. And I literally use this for my eye highlight and my face highlight. 9 times out of 10 if I'm doing a video and I don't say what highlight is on my face, because I don't think I ever really do that, it's this. I cannot stop using it on my face. I have a feeling I'm gonna hit pan on just that one shade because you can barely see the stamp they put in it, but that is what I've been using as my face highlight. I'm gonna spare you guys from watching me do my eyebrows because that is like literally the thing that takes me the longest in my routine, but I will run through the 3 products that I use most often on my eyebrows. One is from Wet n Wild. This is their chisel tip brow pencil. Right now I'm using the shade medium brown, but when I had red hair or my lighter colored hair, I always use the shade taupe. The Rimmel Brow This Way kit, and mine is in the shade medium. I clearly love the brow powder in there. And then this is newer, but it's all I've been using on my eyebrows, like gel wise. This is from Believe Beauty. It's their eyebrow style gel in the shade dark brown. So I'm going to quickly hop off of camera and do my eyebrows, and we will be right back to move into the eyes, which is what I wanted to do first. So I spent a little bit of time trying to really nail down what brand of eyeshadows I use the most, not necessarily what palette, just what brand. I probably have more eyeshadow than any one person could go through in their entire lifetime, but when it's, I don't know, 4:30 in the morning and I'm about to leave for work and I'm trying to figure out if I want to put anything in on my eyes or just roll with some mascara and be done, on the days where I decide to put something on my face, like on my eyes, and do an eyeshadow look, and I don't want to think about it, I just want to have something and go, I always end up using Morphe. I have the 350 palette, which is what this is. This was like, this blew up. I feel like this is when I really started hearing about Morphe a lot. Oh my god, I just dunked my hand in it. But this is when I first started to hear about Morphe a whole lot. This was my first Morphe purchase. This was like my first not at a drugstore eye palette that like wasn't an Urban Decay palette, because that was the thing my brother used to always get me. But like, this was like my first, you know what I mean, like my first thing. And I was so excited to have it, and I clearly used it a lot. There are several shades where there's like giant dents in them, and then there's one that I've hit pan on. And even when I'm not using this, because it's hard to remember to use the same palette all the time when you're like me and you have 130 million palettes. But when I'm not using this, I'm using my James Charles, I'm using my Jeffree Star, I'm forever using Morphe palettes. So as much as I hate it, because I feel like Morphe is kind of getting a little overhyped here on the YouTube, those are the shadows that I use the most. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty that you can get at the drugstore that are amazing, but I use a lot of Morphe. So we're gonna go on with this palette, and I'm not gonna do anything crazy on my eyes. I'm just gonna do a simple warm tone smoky eye. I feel like pretty much every time I'm not doing a colorful look and I'm just doing like something quick, like a glam look, warm tone smoky eye. Let me start by going in with this shade right here. I'm trying to remember when I first got this palette, I did pretty much the same eye look every day. And I'm trying to remember exactly what shades I used, because these shades don't have names. Kind of just going off which ones have the most of a dent in it. So I'm going to just blend this up and into my crease to add a little definition. And then I'm going to hop in with this shade right here, which is just a little bit darker. You know how I like to do this. I like to start with a super light shade and build it up darker and darker until, sorry. My friends are coming over and they just called me, and y'all know I'm still filming on my phone. Anywho, all I did was take this shade and build it up into my crease a little bit more, and now I'm gonna go in with this super pretty warm, it kind of reminds me of hot chocolate, and I don't know why. Y'all have got to be kidding me. Shade, we'll fix that in a second. And I'm gonna focus this mainly on my outer half, and then just blend it up a little bit just to darken. And now, because I want it to be a little warmer, I'm gonna go in with this shade, which is a shade I shockingly used to use all the time. I say used to, like when I would use this palette every day. Like this was my main palette for a minute. I'm just gonna add that into my crease to warm everything up a little bit more. Beautiful. Don't really worry about this part, because in true, this is this is OG. We'll fix it in a minute. I used to never cut my crease. Ever. Ever. I would just not cut my crease. I don't know why, I just didn't like to do it. But in keeping with true what I use the most out of this palette, I'm gonna take this shade. No cut crease. Don't put the concealer away, because you don't always have to cut your crease. And I feel like that's something that people are forgetting about a lot, is you don't always have to cut your crease. You don't always have to have like wicked sharp winged liner and a cut crease. You don't. You can make a pretty look without doing all of that. And one of my favorite things I used to do is load up my brush. I mean, I still do this, but I'm talking about because I wouldn't cut my crease. Load up your brush and spray it with some setting spray. You can almost create like a faux cut crease moment. And then I'm gonna take that same brush and that hot chocolatey color and just blend the edges out. Ta-da! That's how I do it. I'm gonna take a pencil brush and I'm actually going to go in with that orange shade that we used in our crease. And I'm taking a pretty big pencil brush and I'm just running this under my eye. And then I'm gonna take a like little flat definer brush and I'm gonna take that hot chocolatey shade, which was the darkest shade we used. And I'm just gonna define it a little bit. And now I'm going to go in with my favorite pencil, black eyeliner. This is by LA Girl. This is their Shockwave Neon Eyeliner in Blackout. And I'm just going to tightline. Now I'm going to cut out me doing my eyeliner, my other eye, and my lashes because I always cut that out so this video is not 45 minutes long. So, real quick, my favorite liquid eyeliner of all time, will always have this in my collection, will always use it. This is Physicians Formula Eye Booster in the shade Ultra Black. This is just such a good eyeliner. It's an eyeliner pen, so I think these are easier, and it has a super small brush tip so you can get that really crisp line, but you don't have to do anything crazy to get it. You don't have to get out tape or anything like that. It's just super crisp, super black, and it lasts a very long time. For mascara, my ultimate all-time favorite mascara I have ever tried. This is Lash Sensational from Maybelline. I use the black waterproof version. It's just so good, and the brush is like, one side is really, they have like really big spikes, bristles. I don't know, because it's like one of those plasticky brushes. And then the other side has shorter ones, so I use that shorter side to really get my lower lashes. Once again, super black, lasts all day long, freaking love it. For lashes, I'm gonna go in with my Kiss Ritzies. I always use these, I always have them in my collection, I freaking love them. These are just super pretty, wispy lashes, and the band is super thin, so you don't have to worry about them being uncomfortable. And I always use the Duo Brush On Strip Adhesive in the Quick Set, because I'm lazy and I don't want to sit there and wait on my stuff to dry. So let me go do all of that, and we will be right back. Eyes are done. Well, for the most part, eyes are done. Now all we have to do is the eye highlighting, and like I said, branch out of the Conspiracy palette, and I take this teeny tiny little brush, and I just like it. It's just such an icy, blinding highlight, and in my opinion, I think it even looks good when I have really warm tones on my eyes like I do today. Why, I just like it. So now that the eyes are done, we really only have lips left to do. If you know me, if you've watched me for a while, you know that I am a sucker for a nude lip. I love a good nude lip. I pretty much wear nude lips all day, every day. It's very rare I wear something not a nude lip. And my holy grail all-time favorite nude that I have ever tried, favorite formula and everything, is from Jeffree Star. It is one of his velour liquid lipsticks, and mine is in the shade Mannequin. It's just such a good nude. And I was really scared when I got it because it is a more browny kind of mauve-y nude, and I'm more of a pinky nude kind of girl normally, but this is beautiful. it's just it's pretty much your lip color, but better. I just freaking love it. I don't have to use a lip liner with it. It's just such a pretty freaking color. But on the daily, I pretty much always layer a gloss over it. I don't know why, but this is my favorite gloss. This is from Buxom. This is the full-on, what is it? Full-on plumping lip cream, and of course mine is in the shade White Russian. I have used this for like over a year and pretty much every day. It's just such a pretty color, and it doesn't, I don't know how to explain it. It's a thicker formula, but it's not thick to the point it is uncomfortable, if that makes sense. I'm just putting my rings back on. It's just really comfy for me, and this is of course a plumping lip gloss, so it is going to have that tingle. The tingle does not bother me, and it is very minty, which I appreciate because I am a CNA, so I'm pretty much always up in somebody's face like doing something, and I don't want my breath to stink. So the last thing we have to do is set. This is by Morphe. This is the continuous setting mist, and it's just such a good spritzer. Why did it take so long for people to start using aerosol? Can somebody tell me? So let's set. I feel like pretty much everyone has gotten obsessed with setting sprays here lately to try to like minimize the cakiness of the amount of makeup people wear on a daily basis now. I like using a setting spray because pretty much every time I do my makeup, it's on for a very long time, and I need something to help it. And on top of that, like I said, I have dry skin, so I like using a setting spray to kind of melt all the powder down to make my face not look so gross. And now that we're done with the makeup, I can tie this shirt like it's supposed to be tied. Amazon came through for me on this shirt. That is a terrible bow. I'm like not girly enough to be wearing this. Anywho, this is the final completed look. I hope you guys enjoyed it while you were watching. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up down below and consider subscribing. Just trying to get that out of the frame. To my YouTube channel. We're doing a giveaway at 400 subscribers, and we are so close as it is. So with that being said, I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys.